Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Commodities here, and you are tuned in to another edition of the Finance Rebel Show. I'm doing a little multitasking right now because I'm literally broadcasting live on IG as well. And I was trying to, I never did it. I was trying to put a post up there to let all my IG family know what I'm talking about tonight. But to let the rest of the world know what I'm talking about tonight, we're going to talk about how to find the next hot stock. And so before we get into this, I'm going to ask everybody to share this live out, share it with your friends and family, anybody who is interested in learning how to invest in the stock market. And if they know how to invest in the stock market, how they can go about finding more opportunities and more deals. So I'm just sharing this out to a couple places real quick. I'm not ignoring anybody. But like I said, I'm going to be getting it together. How did I do that? So I think I'm doing a little bit too much. So let me focus real quick. So again, like I said, how to invest in the next hot stock. Oh man, so sorry about that, everybody. So just got my shares done. So like I said, welcome to the Finance Rebel Show. The Finance Rebel Show is all about helping everybody increase their financial IQ so they can lead the life that they want to lead, whether that be stay at home and be a mom, go travel the world, do whatever you want to do. Basically, it's all about finding financial independence, right? And one of the first things you normally have to do, because the system is set up for us to be in debt, is to rebel, right? So we don't want to be in debt. We don't want to be slaves to our credit cards or our loans. So we have to think about ways on how we can invest our dollars and make our money work for ourselves while we're sleeping, ideally. All right. So today we're going to be talking about how to find the next hot stock. Today's financial term of the day is asset class. And I have a bad money decision highlight of today. All right. So stay tuned for all of that. So as we jump into this, we're going to be talking about the financial term of the day. The financial term for the day is asset class. Now, what is an asset class? An asset class is a grouping of investments that share similar characteristics. You typically have about 6 or 7 different asset classes. So they can be cash, stocks, bonds, real estate, commodities, currencies, and real estate. So like I said, you have cash, that's just like money in the bank. Usually it's quickly available. You can get your hands on it real fast. Bonds are money you typically give to a company as a loan, and they're going to pay you back an interest rate and then give you your money back at a certain period of time, but it's a loan. Stock is actually ownership in a company. It's an equity stake in a company. You typically don't have the right to run the day to day, or you're not running day to day, but you just give a company some money and then they say, oh, you're entitled to some of the profits. So a stock could be like IBM or an Apple or Berkshire Hathaway, right? Real estate, everybody knows about real estate, but one of the things you can do outside of just investing in real estate of residential or homes, because that's what most people like to do, there's other avenues to invest in real estate, right? You can look at, I don't know, residential, you could commercial, you could look at hotels, you could look at healthcare facilities. I mean, they even have what's called timber or timberland, where you can buy an interest in real estate on a property that has nothing but trees, and they sell trees. Why? Because we still use up a lot of trees in everything we do, from paper to furniture, and to various products. We still use a lot of wood. So, that's another form of asset class. All right. Commodities. Commodity is usually something that comes out of the ground, like a gold or an oil. You typically hear about them every day. You can invest in all those things, right? And so usually when you're looking at asset class, you're thinking about how do these different assets work together. For example, bonds work differently than stocks. Bonds typically aren't as volatile, meaning they don't go up and down as much as stocks do. Real estate tends to not be as volatile as stock either. But you're trying to put together a perfect mix, which is called an asset allocation. But I'll talk about that on another day. You're trying to put together a perfect mix of assets that work for you, so your money won't go up a whole lot in any given day and it won't go down a whole lot. You can just kind of have a smooth ride up. So that's asset class today. Now, the main point of today is going to be how to find a hot stock. It's the holiday season. It happens to me every time when I go to a gathering or a party. It tends to happen a lot around holidays, also at weddings, sadly also at funerals or any kind of gathering. Everybody's like, what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing? And I got this question today from a friend of mine that I grew up with. And he asked me, how do you go about finding the next hot stock? How do you find Apple before it becomes Apple? How do you find Amazon before it becomes Amazon? How do you find Google before it's Google, right? How do you find Amazon before it becomes becomes Amazon? And so what I told him was it's really good. And everybody wants that cheat code. Everybody wants to kind of break through and figure out how to get that magic bullet so they can get their lottery ticket, right? Because basically that's what people are asking you for when they come on and they ask you, how do I find the next hot thing? Right? Marijuana's hot right now. Everybody's interested in marijuana. There's some other industries that are really hot. AI, tech's going to be hot for quite some time. But everybody's trying to figure out, how do I find the next hot thing? How do I find that? What do I do with it? Because I've already talked to everybody about how easy it is to invest, right? I've talked to folks about using Cash App or Robinhood and taking anywhere from $1 to invest in the stock market, or $25, whatever you may have, right? You don't have to have a whole lot of money to start investing. Everybody, by the way, I love the stock market. Everybody knows I love the stock market, all right? So that's why I talk about it so much. I think it's one of the easiest ways to build wealth for everyday people who go to work without doing a whole bunch of work after work, if that makes sense. But, again, people want to find that next hot thing. People want to find that next hot lottery ticket. Well, guess what? How often do you hit the lottery? Well, number one, in order to play the lottery, in order to win the lottery, you got to play the lottery, right? By the way, I am not a fan of the lottery. Just using this as an analogy. So don't take me and mischaracterize what I'm saying. But what do? You have to participate, right? You have to invest in order to find or get involved in the next hot stock. Guess what? You don't stumble upon the next hot stock. And again, this conversation is for new investors, new stock purchasers, all right? The reason why I say you don't find it is because if you're new, you're still fine-tuning your skills. You're still learning about the markets. You're still looking to understand how economics works, how supply and demand works, how fear and greed works, how all of these things come together and what they need to do. Now, I tell people to start easy, start simple. Warren Buffett, the investment guy, the investment hero, says he likes to invest in companies that can be ran by a monkey. What simply means that they're simple businesses. They have simple business models. If you look at the things that Warren Buffett buys into, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola basically sells one type of product, right? Coca-Cola. They got Diet Coke. You got the Sonic Water. They've got some other things, some teas and things that they just brought in. But for the most part, they're beverages. Actually, the biggest part probably in that is figuring out the formula for how to make those Cokes and those beverages. But that's what likes. There's over 1 billion Cokes sold a day throughout the world. So, those things are easy. What else is Warren Buffett like? Dairy Queen. He also likes Geico. right? The insurance company. Most of Warren Buffett's money was made through insurance companies. Many people don't realize that. But again, these are simple business models. They might not be the easiest businesses to get into, but they're simple business models. So I tell people all the time, start investing in what you know. If you like Nikes and you're a fan of Colin Kaepernick, buy Nike. If you like Nikes and you're a fan of NFL, buy Nike, right? Because they're playing both sides of the fence in that particular situation. I have a bunch of Apple products here, right? I got an iPhone here, I got an iPad there. I don't have a MacBook yet. If anybody wants to donate to my MacBook fund, I will be accepting Cash App donations. Just joking. But point being, I could buy Apple, right? Apple's at like, I want to say 260-ish, something, somewhere around there. I'm going to look it up. But again, start with the things you like. And then once you find those things, start digging deeper and to figure out what makes them pop. Amazon's running the world right now. Why? Because they figured out how to niche. They started with niching. They started out selling books online. They figured out how to disrupt the marketplace. And then they figured it out. And they were selling, I want to say they had over 1 million customers in the late 90s. And that was before, the internet bubble crashed. Now, I'm talking about the internet bubble. I might be showing my age, but I've been working in the industry that long. And if anybody remembers, during the internet bubble time, all those companies were on the internet. All those companies, a lot of those companies did not survive. A lot of those companies weren't even making money. Honestly, they were just kind of flash in the pans because they had this new technology, i.e. the internet, and they were able to make some moves and do some things. Amazon was able to survive that. Amazon was able to survive the internet bubble. Now, funny thing, you know who they made fun of during the internet times and technology rise? Warren Buffett. They made fun of him. They said he was washed up. Why? Because he didn't jump on the technology bandwagon right away. But Warren was still a millionaire at that time. He didn't need to jump on the bandwagon. He was just willing to continue to follow his style of investing because it worked for him. So I say all that to say is once you develop your style, stick to it. There's no need to switch. Warren Buffett didn't start investing into technology companies probably a good 15, 20 years later after the internet bubble burst in, let's say, 2001, right before 9/11 happened. So, again, how do you find the next hot stock? You don't, right? If you want to get into the stock market, if you want to figure out how to use the stock market to leverage your money so you can make money while you're sleeping, if you want to use the stock market to make money for you, your family, and your community to build wealth, learn the basics. I know the basics are boring, right? Nobody wants to talk about the basics. The basics are sleepy. The basics are whack, right? But guess what? Anybody that's great at anything, they stick to the basics. The argument is being made right now about Michael Jordan versus LeBron James being the greatest. Guess what? They both know the basics. Now, my favorite basketball player of all time can play every position from point guard to center, shooting guard, power forward, shooting guard, every position. Magic Johnson, favorite. Guess what? It just so happens he's a great businessman too. And he knows how to play his position here as well. But he knows the fundamentals. Learn the fundamentals of investing. And really the basics of fundamental stock investing is understanding business. So I tell people all the time, if you want to go into business at some point, learn how to study the stock market. You'll be doing two things at one time. You'll be learning about business and you'll be learning about stocks. Now, stocks are a reflection of the business, but they don't always move lockstep with what the business actually does because there's other people in the market affecting the price of it. And that's a bit technical, so I don't want to put anybody to sleep. I already started late tonight. But learn the fundamentals. Learn what a stock is. Understanding how this company, how it makes money, right? What does Amazon do? Amazon is the greatest retailer the world has probably ever seen, right? But they do have some competition over in China. But again, 42% of all Americans are shopping on Amazon, I think Amazon has about 5% of the world's retail sales. That's a lot. I mean, there's almost 8 billion people on the planet. I forget how many people are actually online. But again, that's a lot. 5% of that is a lot. All right. Now, if you're just now joining me, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. This is the show where we talk all about increasing everybody's financial IQ. If you're just now joining us, let me know you're here. Say hello, drop a question in. If you're just now joining us, share this out with a friend or somebody who wants to increase their financial IQ as well. But again, there are no hot stock tips. And anytime you get a hot stock tip, you might want to be wary because sometimes it could be what's called insider trading. Now, what's the bad thing about insider trading? You can go to jail. And they love to send guys that look like me who work in finance to jail. So I don't participate in any of that type stuff. All right. I don't look to do any of that type stuff. And right now, the majority of my business is tax. And I get people that ask me to dream up numbers pretty often. I don't do that either. Not at all. So again, when you're thinking about stocks, when you're thinking about investing, start small, start slow. If you like Tiffany's or if you like LVMH, LVMH just bought Tiffany's. You know, I'm actually proud of myself because, well, I can't take all the credit, but I helped my cousin buy her first shares of stock. She bought Tiffany. She likes to shop. She likes their jewelry. She likes their stuff. And then what's probably going to happen as the merger completes, they'll be absorbed by LVMH, right? Louis Vuitton. So that was just one small step. She bought a couple of shares and she kept it moving, right? It doesn't have to be this big, gigantic thing. You don't have to be rich to invest in the stock market. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to invest in the stock market. All you need is, if you're using Cash App, $1, right? Because you can buy fractional shares. What does that mean? You can buy a percentage of a share. All right. There's a Cash App video on my YouTube channel where I bought like $10 of Amazon. This is a test, right? I do that from time to time. Amazon right now is almost $1,800 a share. The next thing I probably buy, just to do it, I'll probably buy Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. That stock is like $300,000. Now they do have what's called the Berkshire Bees. So I might think about getting into that as well. But, you know, I'm buying fractional shares. So again, that's a small sliver or a small percentage of a share. So I won't bore you guys to death all night talking about stocks because I could probably talk to y'all all night about it because it's fascinating to me, right? Business is fascinating to me. How do you come up with an iPhone? Like, I'm broadcasting live also to Instagram Live and I'm using my iPhone. But like, if you think about what the iPhone is, right? It's an iPod plus a telephone. Who would have thought of that? And, you know, Steve Jobs' slogan was 1,000 songs in your pocket when he did the iPod, right? And then he put, 1,000 phones in your pocket plus your telephone in your pocket, right? Combine it. Like, who would have thought of that? Now, Steve Jobs didn't come up with that idea. His engineers did, but it's still genius nonetheless. I mean, there's a lot of things. If you look at Elon Musk over at Tesla, again, running cars off of electricity. Now, that idea is not new. It's been around for quite some time, but it's still pretty elegant. It's pretty fly, in my opinion. So, again, I'm fascinated by this stuff. I'm fascinated how they figure out how to do the marketing. I'm fascinated how they do product development. I'm fascinated by all of it. So that's what really keeps my interest in the stock market. All right. Well, listen, if anybody has any questions about investing in stock or how to get involved with the market, just let me know. So moving on to today's bad money segment. This story comes out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So there's a young man by the name of Orlando Henderson out of Charlotte who got hired by Wells Fargo to work in their vault. And after working at Wells Fargo for about 2 months, he started dipping and dabbing into client accounts, 100 here, 200 there, 400 there. And he started depositing the money into his ATM machine at the bank he worked at. Now, he started there in April, probably started dipping and dabbing into the accounts around June. And then in July, he went for the big score. He withdrew about $13,000 out of client accounts. Now, that didn't last long. You know, didn't last long as well. Man got arrested, man got locked up. It's really, really sorry to hear. But one of the things he was doing, he was posing on Facebook and Instagram with money. You know, doing the money phone where they got their hand over a whole wad of money and they put it up to their phone. I guess he was bored. I guess he didn't realize that there's always surveillance in the banks. I guess he didn't realize that it really doesn't pay to be a criminal anymore because, again, there are literally cameras everywhere, right? It's almost like Minority Report. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that, where they had like the precognition folks. Basically, they could tell you where the crime was going to happen before it even happened, right? I mean, but that's what it's like now. I mean, they have instant replay on street corners. And so it really doesn't pay to do crime, especially not a crime where you can be easily found out and short-lived. So I hope he learned his lesson. Hope he turns his life around. Hope he can, you know, turn it around and do something positive. But that's the end of my show tonight. On Wednesday, I'm starting something back up. I'm starting back the Ask Kamari show. Now, all of this stuff with me started with me doing radio. And then from radio, I started getting a lot more questions online. And so I used to do this thing called Ask Kamari, where people would submit questions to me and I would answer them. And so I still do that, but not as much. But I want to bring that back, or I kind of do it sporadic. So I just want to dedicate a whole hour every week to do that, because I'm on pretty often now anyway. And I'm really starting to do more because I'm seeing more topics I want to talk about. And I'm also getting a lot more questions. So I just want to make sure I'm getting everybody's question and trying to answer it to the best of my ability. So make sure you submit your questions to 484-278-1357. Again, 484-278-1357. I do the same type broadcast that I do every day. I'll do it on Facebook, and I'll also do it on YouTube at the same time. But come on over to Facebook, because that's where you can enter in your questions if you have some. I also have people sending me questions to my text line. Again, 484-278-1357. If you have a question, just tag or put the hashtag Ask Kamari, when you text those in. I'm starting to get a lot more text messages. I actually have a video I promised to do for somebody who's looking to start a real estate company with some partners. So actually, I might talk about that tomorrow if anybody has time to stop around. Now, I officially have not put together a schedule yet. I'm just making sure I do them every day. Schedule's coming soon, though. Schedule is coming soon. Listen, if you want to drop in and talk to me throughout the week, you could always join the Finance Rebel Academy, on Facebook. I'm there pretty often. There's a whole community of people who talk about money and finance every day, from every different angle, right? So it can be from the lowest angle to the most highest angle. We talk about it all. So drop on in on us at the Finance Rebel Academy. We'd love to have you. We'd love to talk shop with you. That means talk about money. And so we can continue to build, because listen, a lot of people are not financially illiterate. Okay. The only way to truly get serious about becoming financially literate is surrounding yourself around people who are looking to do some of the same things as you, who are looking to be financially literate. And financial literacy is not just about regurgitating a definition or a word. Financial literacy is understanding what the word is and then actually putting the word in practice, putting it in play, using it in your everyday life. It means nothing to just recite a word from your memory, but you actually don't really use it, right? The reason why I talked about asset class tonight is because I've been getting a lot more questions about 401ks. So I'm going to come around and do a 401k training at some point, but I want people to understand a lot of the terms. Listen, if you don't understand the language, you won't be able to do business with whoever you want to do business with. And we're talking about the business of money. So take heed of these terms, ask me questions, ask any other money professionals questions, just be serious about your progression in terms of financial literacy, or what I like to call financial mastery. Okay. So Kamari Ellis out. I will see you all tomorrow, next broadcast. Everybody have a great day.